All right, folks, here we go. Battle of Gettysburg, day one, except this is going to be a little bit different. Instead of using Springfield 1861s and whatnot, and muskets and all that, we're going to use a little bit more advanced technology for the Union Army in the form of Henry rifles. Henry rifles are repeating rifles. I believe they have 11 rounds. Hold on, let me check. Nope, 15 rounds plus one in the chamber, so let's just call it 16 rounds. Now, I should notate that not everyone is going to have Henrys, because the Battle of Gettysburg in Ultimate General Civil War does include generic units. As you can see here, I'm messing around with the cavalry that comes standard with the beginning of the scenario. If you know the history behind it, there was a detachment of dismounted. Well, I don't think it was a detachment. It was just dismounted cavalry. Anyway, dismounted cavalry that was holding the ridge at the beginning of July 1st for the Battle of Gettysburg. These guys are just equipped with your standard cavalry weaponry, and they are also standard troop size. So I've got, I believe it's Devon's cavalry. I think Buford is down there somewhere, Gamble, the whole gang. And I am expected to hold this little ridge until infantry reinforcements arrive. So I'm fully confident that I'm going to absolutely dominate with my Henry rifles, of course, but not so confident in these little tiny cavalry regiments. Companies. I mean, they're so small, because as you can see up here in the rebel area, as they come down the pike, they are, I'm using the JP mod, which increases overall unit size quite a bit and makes it feel a little bit more like grand battle instead of like these small skirmishes like the standard game is. And so I get these small skirmishes of the vanilla game as my units, and the Confederates get absolutely massive troop count. So as you can see at the top of my screen, I am horrifically outnumbered, probably by about 20-1 at the moment. And yeah, it's pretty hopeless for me right now, but I have full confidence that when my boys with the Henrys show up, things are going to change. Oh dear God, the battle has begun. They're bombing my position. Look, bombarding my position. That is a crap ton of Confederates against a very small force of Union. Now, if the AI was smart, they would just absolutely walk right through my guys and wouldn't even stop. I mean, what's the point of engaging a couple hundred cavalry versus, I don't know, I want to say, I can't see their numbers yet, but let's say about 10,000 at least. So, yeah, this is definitely not going to be the 300. I've decided to pull my cavalry back a bit, mainly because I don't want the enemy in any kind of cover once they reach my guys. I want every advantage possible. Thankfully, the crossing here at the river, I can do a decent amount of damage, but, I mean, there's only so much you can do against this many men, and the battle has begun. Okay, so far so good, but things are going to change rapidly now that the enemy is coming within firing distance of my men. And oh yes, here we go. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, about 16, maybe 20,000 men somewhere in there total, coming after my probably barely 1,000. So you could say we're outnumbered just a little bit here at the start of the battle. Now, again, if this was vanilla and the scenario was just the generic one, I would not be going up against this many men. It would still be a pretty significant number of dudes, because at the beginning of the Battle of Gettysburg, the cavalry were outnumbered, but they were holding fast, and the Confederates tried to push through. They could not. Well, that is to say, they didn't really charge the cavalry positions until a little bit later, and it basically accomplished what it was supposed to. It was supposed to delay the Confederates until the main army could arrive, and looks good so far. All right, things starting to get pretty hairy. There are a lot of Confederates on the front line. I still do not have reinforcements. I'm just working with cavalry that is hopelessly outnumbered. All they have to do is just make a push, and there is no way I'm going to hold. I'm going to get wiped out. So all I have to do is delay them, just as it was historically, until my main force arrives. All right, sweet. We have our reinforcements and our men have held thus far. This is not going to be some piddly couple thousand men under Reynolds. This is going to be XB's army of awesome Henry users. Once the Henry rifles show up on the field, things are going to get very bloody. I fully expect to slaughter the entire Confederate army, so help me. And you might have noticed at the beginning of this video, actually, the Confederates had quite a few more men than was historically the case. I think they had like 120,000 men or something like that in this video, and historically it was not that many. It was somewhere in the range of, I think, like 70 to 80,000 soldiers, or I might be thinking of the Union, but it was somewhere in that vicinity. But here come my 6,000 fresh troops with maximum skill. They've been through all the battles to get here, and they are very prepared. You can see my cavalry up here suffering greatly. They are just not doing so well. I'm pulling them back. I think they might just be running. And all the Confederates have to do is push, which they should start to do soon now that my men are showing up on the field. So time will tell if I'm going to hold that first ridge. If I can hold the forest, that's all that matters. If I could get my men in the cover of forest, 100% cover, then they will not be removed short of absolutely massive charges by the Confederates. So let's hope. Oh yes, looks like I'm not going to be able to hold my initial position here. Oh man, they are coming on strong now. Look at that charge. Yep, my men are going to break. I might as well change plans a little bit here. I'm going to put my troops on a fallback position. No reason to rush my troops to the front when I can sit defensively on the ridge here and make them come to me and waste all their stamina. Once I'm fully healed, maybe I'll push forward and take the enemy out. We shall see. Yes, you can hear that melee. I am getting stomped over there on the front lines. I've already started to pull some cavalry back to secondary defensive positions. I just have to hold long enough for the Henry rifles to be on the field. That's 16 shots before reload. And, oh man, come on, slaughter. Here we go. All right, on the right, it's going to be a slugfest in the trees. My cavalry just cannot hold the trees. They just have nothing left. My infantry, though, is right over the hill. It's going to be a race to see who can get up there first. If my cav can hold for just a few more minutes, I'll be fine. I've moved my extra, well, I don't want to call them extra forces. I've moved my far left flank up to try and disrupt the enemy until the rest of my forces on the right can get into place. I don't want to take up a defensive position unless I have to. I was originally going to be on the ridge, but more of my reinforcements arrived, so no reason not to move up and take the fight to the enemy. As soon as my guys get up here to the trees, things are going to change rapidly. Here they come. Come on, boys. Get up those hills. Get up those hills. You got this. It's in Confederate hands. We can't allow this. Well, the Confederates did indeed beat us to the trees, but all is not lost. Our Henry rifles are now in range, and the fire has begun. You can see pretty much constant fire pouring out of our troops as they advance into the forest. They're slowly racking up kills. It's not a ton, but these are fairly elite troops, especially my guy right up there, my top guy. And I think I'm just going to go for a full melee on them. My units on the left are doing fine, but I do have to reposition them. They sort of got squished in on the left. So we're going to move them up. To be honest, my cavalry, the reason I have them up there fighting is just to waste them. I'm a terrible commander. I'm definitely going for the Burnside's tactic of just sending them in regardless of how many casualties I'm going to take. But I'm just putting my cavalry there to keep them occupied until my main force shows up. All right, so looks like my men are warmed up, but I think we are going to go for a charge. Here we go, guys. Oh, no. My first guy is wounded. That is not good. That's not a good start, but we'll make it work. Here we go with the melee. Now the numbers are really starting to tick down. Oh, yeah, here we go. Tearing it up. Funny thing, Henrys actually have fairly poor melee in the game, but in the hands of elite soldiers, it doesn't matter. They're just too good. All right, we're retaking Oak Ridge. Well done, gentlemen. Well done. Although you have more units coming in to join the melee, I'm fully confident that you will take the ridge. Once you have the ridge, you can start firing with those Henrys again, and we're going to kill a whole heck of a lot of Confederates. As was expected, I took the ridge. Confederates are still charging into my men to try and retake it, so I've brought in additional reinforcements. They are tired, but we're going to bring them in anyway because we need all the help we can get. Also, they arrived just in time to flank the Confederates as they attempted to flank me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win that melee, hands down. And maybe we can change history and we'll never even lose Oak Ridge. We'll never even lose the first... it's not McPherson's Ridge. I forget what it's called. But we're never going to lose the first ridge. And we're going to hold it for the entire game. All I've got to do is hold back these Confederate charges. I have both numbers, rifles, and experience on my side, so I'm not too worried about it. My left flank has... it's held. I'm trying to move one of my units around for a really wide flank to take out their cannons. So more of our reinforcements arrived. Honestly, I think we could hold it with just this many guys, but hey, let's get more. I believe these reinforcements include cavalry. I've tried something new with this round. Usually cavalry I use as dismounted infantry. This time around, I just made a bunch of cavalry with pure melee abilities. They just come in with swords, and they're basically the Rohirrim from Lord of the Rings. So we'll see how they do. The first unit of Rohirrim has arrived, and it is my maximum skill 2,000 cavalrymen unit, and oh boy, you can see what is about to happen here. I'm moving around the flank of the Confederates. As I move in on them, they're going to turn their lines to... Oh, nope, they're not even going to do that because I've already routed them with my infantry. So the Rohirrim are about to kill a whole lot of Confederates. Here comes the slaughter, boys. Yep. And they just decided it wasn't worth it, and they decided to surrender. So that's our first surrender of the day. And, oh, there goes the artillery. So the Rohirrim have started the day with over 100 kills for virtually no losses. I say virtually because in the Civil War, I mean, losses start at the, 10,000? So, okay, yes, we've taken their right flank, our left flank. We're going to start to try and roll up their flank. I'm going to be a little bit daring here with the Rohirrim, and I'm going to charge a healthy unit on the flank. As I charge them, they will likely turn to face me, which will give my infantry down here below a chance to flank them back with fire. My Rohirrim are taking some fire from above, but I don't think they really care. They are an elite unit after all. It doesn't really affect their morale very much. Here we go, charging into the enemy flank. Beautiful, taking out their artillery. I absolutely love killing artillery with cavalry, and as you can see, it works very well. Melee cavalry, especially with this mod, are absolute beasts. I'm talking Cossack style. All right, yes, we have broken the Confederates. I don't know if they're going to surrender. They're not in as bad a situation as the other guys were, but oh, let's get the cannons out of there. Get out of there. Don't get recaptured. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, look at those kills just getting racked up. But he is taking close range, almost point-blank artillery fire. Those cavalry are starting to take some hits. All they've got to do is surrender. I don't think that I'm going to get a surrender out of them, but I may break their other artillery at least. We shall see. Seminary Ridge belongs to the Union. We are still fairly outnumbered here on this corner, but now that my guys are on the fence, they are releasing the fury of those Henrys. Oh my god, look at those losses. Confederates just bleeding losses because one Henry rifle is worth 16 soldiers, so they're really outnumbered 16 to 1 as far as 1-to-1 odds go. Plus my numbers, oh yes, it is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Look at all these Confederate bodies on the ground. Sorry for my viewers who are CSA fans, but I'm afraid the CSA is going to fall today. But then I'm sure the South will rise again, as you all love to say. So, you know, next time I'll do a video with the South using Henrys, or maybe I'll do a video with the South using Whitworth rifles. How fun would that be? Whitworth scoped rifles. 150,000 Confederates using Whitworths with scopes. That would be an absolute blast. I think I am going to do that sometime in the future. All right, here we go. Yep, we are holding Seminary Ridge, and we are not going to give it up. So any chance that the Confederates had at pushing us and making this a defensive battle for the Union is now lost. Now it's time for the Confederates to try and hold back the tide of blue, because here it comes. Oh boy, unable to take the center. The Confederates are pushing very hard on our right flank. They are charging across an open field while we sit here in the trees with the most advanced rifles of, well, I would say of our age, but to be honest, having the Henry in 1863 would have been, you'd have to be very wealthy to own them. The history is that some commanding officers bought small amounts for their men. There were other cases where soldiers would buy their own with their own money, but they were very expensive at the time, so it was not common to see a soldier with one of these things. And we may have pressed a few buttons that allowed us to have about 150,000 Henry rifles, you know, by magic. And oh man, that is, look at that. Look at the Confederates just piling on our right flank. They really want to take Oak Ridge. They are not going to succeed if you ask me. But you never know. I mean, with enough manpower, no matter how good your guns are, you could get overwhelmed. They could go Chinese style and just wipe us out in human waves. But at the moment, it looks like they're opting to do a ranged battle. And as you can see, it is not a winning tactic for them. You cannot do ranged combat against soldiers holding Henry rifles. Okay, as you can see, the Confederates have made a major tactical blunder in pressing so hard on my right flank, and failing, by the way. They have virtually abandoned the center, which allowed me to bring in one of my units and just begin to roll up their flank. And oh man, rolling it up, he's absolutely devastating. Look at those kills to death ratio. Man, when I used to play War of Rights, if I had that kind of KD ratio, that would have been an extremely good day. But okay, yeah, those Henrys, man, you could just see the bullets constantly flying. They never stop. Those Henry rifles are absolutely devastating. Confederate commanders falling left and right. I was going to edit this video and do one of those little ding sounds every time a Confederate falls, but I realized the video would have been an hour long because I killed many Confederate commanders in this battle, and we want to try to keep it short and sweet. The actual battle is something like 4 hours of real time if you play the game. So you can imagine, this is a lot of footage putting this thing together. Look at that. They are pressing so hard on the right flank, and just one of my units, and I believe that up there at the top is one of my sharpshooter units, and they are holding the entire flank off by themselves, doing an absolutely devastating job. Look at those Confederate bodies just piled up. Yep, there's my fresh troops up here, and I don't remember what gun they're using. I believe it's the Sharps, or it might be the Whitworth, to be honest. But yeah, they are just tearing it up, doing a great job. Look at those kills. More of the Rohirrim have arrived. We now have nearly 6,000 cavalry, and with this many cavalry, we're not even going to wait for our boys to fire in on them. We can take this, I think, in a straight-on Polish-style charge, winged hussar style. Here we go. Let's see if we can do it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh boy, here we go. Are they going to get a shot off before? Yes, they nailed them before the Confederates could get a volley off, and just are dropping tons and tons of guys. 6,000 cavalry. Oh, there goes the Confederates' volley, but it's too late. They've already started to rout. Their cannons are slow to respond because there are a lot of cannons in that battery, and the more cannons you have in a battery, the longer it takes to turn. So my men are devastating them. They may have enough pressure to actually cause the unit to surrender. I don't know. We're going to find out. Come on, boys. You better intercept those cannons. You better intercept those cannons before you're in for some serious pain. Get them into melee. There we go. There we go. That's going to be another battery wiped out. Now, they are taking a shot right in the face, and they're in water. That can hurt them. Oh, good. The battery surrendered. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. It looks like we're not going to get the Confederate infantry to surrender this time, but that's a... Oh, no, yes, we did. Quick, get out of there, boys. Could you imagine surrendering 10 feet from your comrades? I mean, I don't know if that's very realistic. I think they would just go the extra 10 feet and get out of there. But they did surrender. I'm going to try to run them out of there and capture some more troops. I've already begun to rack up the troops, My cavalry is taking some massive hits from those volleys, so they are going to get out of there. Ooh, ouch, ouch. Go, boys, go. Okay, on the right here, the Confederates have just lost enough men that I've begun to actually push the right flank. If you look up at the top of the screen, you can see the numbers have shifted now. I have more men on the field than the Confederates. Now, it's a little unfair that I know my history, and I know that an attack is going to be coming from the right, near Culp's Hill, I believe it is. So I am preparing some units to intercept, was it Buell who attacked on the right? I think it was Buell. Maybe I'm not right on that one. Or no, it wasn't Buell. It's the guy whose name starts with an Ewell, not whatever. You know what I mean. You history buffs, you know who it is. Yeah. So it was Johnson and Ewell. So I was pretty close. I don't know why I said Buell. I think I was thinking of Buford. But anyway, okay. So my men are in position there on the right. My Rohirrim are recovering because melee really messes up cavalry units. You have to be careful with how often you charge. Look at those Confederate bodies. I'm slowly pushing the Confederates back. Any momentum they had is totally lost, and it's only a matter of time before I roll the Confederates up. Day one is nearing an end, and we may even get to surround the first the first portion of the Confederate army and completely get them to surrender, which would be very advantageous, which means day 2 and day 3 are going to be much easier. However, the Confederates are moving their reinforcements in behind us. I believe that's Johnson's unit, General Johnson. So we are going to start to move to intercept them with less superior forces, to be honest. But I think we can hold it. Again, holy crap, those Henry rifles are just devastating. It's time for the Rohirrim to prepare to hold the flank until more infantry can come in and assist. Now, the Rohirrim are pretty good at killing messed up units. They're not so good at killing high morale, high condition units. So they're just here as a backup, just in case things get hairy and I have to absolutely charge, although I prefer not to. Well, things got hairy, so I sent in the cavalry. They are charging. Thankfully, those Henry rifles are helping out, and I think the cavalry, yep, they are absolutely going to devastate that first unit. So first problem solved. What I really want to do, though, is wipe out that artillery battery. I can't quite do that yet because he is well protected by a whole bunch of infantry. So cavalry have done their job. They're going to go back and reserve for another time. Okay, we're coming up on the end of Gettysburg Day 1, and as I suspected, my cavalry would be absolutely instrumental in keeping the enemy from overwhelming our right flank near Culp's Hill. We've held Oak Ridge, we've held Seminary Ridge, we've held, we've held everything, really. We've held it all. And now we've pushed the enemy back. Unfortunately, we could not surround them and get them to surrender, but I would say the end of the first day has seen significant casualties on the enemy side. Those Henry rifles are ridiculous, and they are definitely cheat mode. I would love to see this game modded where everyone has access to Henry rifle from day 1, just to see what the casualties would look like on both sides if both have that incredible rate of fire. But yep, there goes my cav. I have 0 minutes left, so oh no, it's not the end of day 1. I was mistaken. It looks like now they are going to be coming at me at Cemetery Hill. I don't remember that happening on the first day, but okay, let's do it. Let's hold. That attack is going to be pretty miserable for them because we outnumber them heavily now. My cavalry is circling around behind. Looks like we are going to win the day. Yep, and as I suspected, cavalry was essential again. My cavalry has basically moved all over the field. We're now into 2 in the afternoon. Cavalry is sweeping up the last of the Confederates' initial assault on, Oak Ridge. We are going to charge through the force, which is not a smart move with Cav, but I am kind of desperate to get the last of these Confederate units to surrender. If I can get them to surrender or completely rout them, our left flank is more or less secure. Up, see, we've routed that. All that's left is 1 more unit. Come on, boys. You got this. You got this. Take them out. Take them out with the flank. Yep. Oh, those Henry rifles just doing devastating work on the Confederates. By the time my men reach them, they've already started routing. And, yep, completely wiped out. We've completely wiped out the Confederacy on our left flank. We're now totally secure there. As you can see on the mini-map, we are technically surrounded, but we are outnumbering them 4 or 5 to 1 at this point. Henry rifles have just done absolutely devastating work. Devastating work. And now we're going to take the fight to them. Okay, so close to the end of day 1, we have wiped out all the Confederacy, more or less. I think there's 2 units left. So now we're going to day number 2. They have 64,000 men versus my 326,000 men. All right, so that concludes the first video. I don't want to make this thing too long because, as I told you, Ultimate General is a very long game. This battle alone, something like 4 hours of recording. And I fast-forwarded through some bits, too, believe it or not. You don't see too much of that on the video, but dang, it is a long game. I actually personally like it. I freaking love this game. And obviously we're cheating. I mean, we're using Henry rifles. That's not historically accurate. But I have played the battle and beat it on all difficulty levels with the normal rifles. So we're just going to have fun with these ridiculous weapons and just absolutely wipe out the Confederacy, which we're doing quite well. We're going to hold Little Round Top and Big Round Top in a very different way than was historically done. I don't think we're going to have to worry about Chamberlain and the gang having to charge down the hill to save the Union's flank, or Strong Vincent coming in. Really, he's the real hero of Little Round Top. I think we're going to absolutely devastate the Confederate attack here on the left. And so I will see you guys on the next one when we wipe out the Confederates on day 2 and we reenact Pickett's charge. Although I think it's going to be Pickett's charge with more like a gang of guys than an actual army at that point. We shall see.